This is Chris Kell with just a simple program design review for our 2-day group training template. Now the thing to know about our 2-day group training template cycle is that it is fixed, meaning we do it a month at a time. We're not really programming in cycles other than we change things up every 4 weeks. All right, and the way this works is we have our workout schedule here. The client is going to work out 2 days a week, and the setup is going to be heavy light, meaning the first day we're going to lift heavier weights. The session is going to be a little bit more intense. The second day is going to be a little lighter. We can introduce a little bit more variation in that day, and that kind of allows us to change things up just a little bit. In the off days, we want the client performing their mobility routine along with either a couch to 5K or some sort of an aerobic endurance activity, and really that could be anything from jogging to Zumba classes, really anything that is non-impactful. It gets the heart rate up a little bit, it gets the blood flowing. That's the idea. So with that said, we're going to look at our template. Okay, so first thing we want to look at the template is the monthly workout calendar. Now each phase or each template is going to last for 3 weeks. Okay, and what we want to do with that is at the end of each week, or during, I guess, each workout day, we're just going to initial the date on that day, so we know that, okay, we've been in this template for 3 weeks now. So that way, that gives us a good idea of when it's time to create a new template, when it's time to move through. Now, for our small group training template, we've already listed in the areas that we want to foam roll. Okay, and we've already listed in activation exercises for the first month. What I will say though is that based upon some things that you see in the class, like for example, if we screen the class and we see a particular need for more glute activation exercises, or perhaps they score, we get a lot of ones in the leg lowering column, or the leg lowering FMS test, or some of our group screens that we do. Those drills should be inserted into this activation portion, so we can kind of get those out of the way during the first portion of the session. Alright, now for our dynamic warm-up, these are just mobility drills, okay, that we're going to change, every 4 weeks. These can start with the standard warm-up and then just kind of evolve over time as we go along. I like to include 3 for the for hip mobility, and I also like to include a single leg exercise just for kind of balance and proprioception. You have to think about the fact that we're dealing with older clients, probably clients that are pretty deconditioned. Balance is always going to be something that we want to work on with these clients. So single leg stance, meaning standing on one leg, is generally always going to be a part of the warm-up. The reaching straight leg deadlift on one leg is just kind of an extension of single leg stance. So that's kind of my my response to that. Now for the in day 2, once again, we just have 3 hip mobility exercises, 2 to 3 shoulder mobility exercises, and again, it's the same idea. You just coach them through that. Change them every 20 to change them with every time we create a new template. And for workout A, just do day 1. For workout B, do day 2. Now, for our power drills, again, the first thing we want to look at are our categories. Alright, now I've listed upper body power, lower body power, anterior core. If balance were something that we wanted to work on that month, however, we could write in balance exercise under lower body power. We could write in, maybe, overhead exercise under upper body power. If we see a glaring need for certain postural things or movement issues, we could use this circuit as opposed to doing power drills in the beginning to kind of train movement. So that's always an option. But the key thing is we list the category and then we create the exercise that corresponds to that category. So like for example, upper body power, I have medicine ball slam. Lower body power, I have speed ladder toe taps, because again, the client is moving their feet fairly quickly. And then for anterior core, we just have a plank hold. As the coach or the programmer, you also have the option of kind of writing in variations of each exercise for weekly variations to keep things interesting. Clients tend to complain if the thing is the same for 4 weeks. So, we might do like a medicine ball slam on their knees one week. We might do it standing the next week with a different color ball. We could do an alternating slam where we alternate overhead in different directions. just think variations upon a theme. So just because speed ladder toe taps are written in week 1 or for the initial exercise, that doesn't mean that the client can't be doing lateral taps, that they can't be doing icky shuffles through the speed ladder. Really anything that preserves the same effect is what I'm looking for. So the other thing to notice is allotted time. Again, if you see a need to change the time, this gives us the ability to kind of allocate certain periods of time to the workout itself. You have to think, if we're spending 25 minutes warming up, then that gives us about 30 to 35 minutes to play with. Okay, so 6 to 8 minutes. The power circuit should not be long, but again, enough time to get done what we need to get done. Now in our main lifts, you'll notice that we have 3 sets of 5 reps here. Okay, so 5 reps, very low. We want the client doing pretty maximal strength training in this time for them. This is the day. This is going to be heavy day. This is workout day. This is the day in which they're fresh. All right, which means that we want to do we want to train the exercise that we hope to get the most bang for our buck for. And with that, as a beginner, I've written in upper body push, lower body pull, lateral core. This is a 2-day program. It's always going to be total body. So with the push up, we just list categories here. This stuff does stay the same because it's just progressive resistance. We just want them to get a little bit stronger with each one. So if the client put their hands on a bench in week 1, maybe by week 4, we're hoping that their hands are down on a small box. We're just looking to add reps or weight with each workout, assuming that these are bone builders clients. In the beginning, it's all about, for beginners, it's all about teaching that proper form, and you would just kind of stick to this beginner category and really work on coaching versus loading them up aggressively, but just kind of look at the programming guidelines, and that'll give you a good idea also. And again, this is 12 minutes, set up the circuit, let the clients go through it, walk around and coach them. If they don't, they don't make it through in 12 minutes, simply move to the next thing. Now again, for our auxiliary circuit for our build clients, okay, we're just going to write in the categories first. So I've got an upper body pull, a lower body push, hip prehab, shoulder prehab, to kind of offset the main lifts. The pull opposes the push, the lower body push opposes the lower body pull, and then we just write in corresponding exercises. We can create variations. Now once again, moving down to our chisel circuits, this is kind of where things become a little bit more interesting, because now, so say we have 3 people in class that want to focus on fat loss, we have 3 people in class that want to focus more on building muscle and that sort of thing. In the very beginning, I would say put everybody through the standard stuff, just simply because we want to teach them these habits. But as things progress, and as we get into clients that are maybe working out 2 days a week, but they're still kind of intent on doing the circuit training, we simply put them through, after they warm up, we simply put them through a time strength circuit, either a time circuit or a interval training. We choose the exercises for week 1 and week 3, and then we choose 3 to 4 agility drills, and we go from and we just choose them for week 1 and 3, week 2 and 4. Now, and with that, one thing that I want to show you is when we're looking at our metabolic conditioning guide. Okay, and again, this is found in your Peak Fitness Lakeland folder. Okay, you're going to be given a whole library, basically, of exercises that we can utilize with different pieces of equipment for chisel circuits. So, for example, we've broken this up into different categories here. We have for pieces of equipment that we have 5 or more pieces available. Okay, we've just got 5 variations in here, and we'll add to this as we go along. Okay, so we've got like med balls, hurdles, sandbags, TRXs, etc. Okay, and then we also have, wow, I really lost that. We also have pieces of equipment that we only have 4 of. So if we have a bigger class, you might want to stick to the above list. If the class is a little bit smaller, then we can start to break out the toys a little bit more. Now, the one thing with metabolic exercises that I think is important, just as an aside, is that these are drills that I feel can be done with over 20 reps safely, meaning the client is not going to injure themselves doing this as an interval or doing these in higher level time circuits. So once again, these are pretty good exercises for just doing high rep things. They're non-impactful, and they shouldn't be. And again, what we've done is we've actually listed in, we have our Peak Fitness programming folder here, our programming spreadsheet. If you go to the Metcon tab, metabolic tab, we have a library of all of these exercises listed out. You can click on them. We've included videos of each one, and you can kind of see an example of like what it actually is. So all you have to do is kind of use this as a reference to just plug things in based on when you're creating the template. All right, so now back to the template. And you know, really that's pretty much it. The one thing I will show for the light day, rather than doing 3 sets of 3 to 5 exercises for the strength circuit, or the main strength circuit, we're going to do 3 sets of 6 to 10. Okay, so it's just a little bit different, but it's always going to be that way. And again, when we look down finally at our weekly rep progression, like this is the last thing in the spreadsheet, this is kind of how we list out like what happens with the rep ranges over 4 weeks. These are beginners, so these things stay exactly the same. You'll learn that as we get kind of more complex, somebody gets more experience, we might have to start to kind of change rep ranges a little bit per week as we go along, and this is the way we do it. But this will always list out like kind of how things flow. And really the only thing that changes here is the circuit training. The finisher, you know, I start out with 10 to 1 in week 1, I do 11 to 1 in week 2, I do 12 to 1 in week 3, and then for week 4 I go back to normal. And it's the same for a time circuit, you know, and that with that, though the circuit training, the finisher is the one thing that can probably go up safely. Everything else, you know, if they do beyond 5 reps, they need to move up in the weight. If they can't do 3 reps, they need to move down in the weight. Same with the auxiliary circuit. It's as simple as that. But once again, just plug in exercises in that fashion, you know, and we're good to go. All right. The one other thing with the exercises is that might be of help to you is that in your Peak Fitness Lakeland folder, okay, we've also included our training system exercises. And again, with this is just going to list out, you know, a library of most of the basic variations of pushing exercise, pulling exercises, knee hip dominance that we use. And so you can see like the push up, and then just different variations of, you know, how we progress a push up, and then just kind of maybe different basic variations you can use. This is just a starting point. I mean, you know, again, the you can use your imagination to be your guide with this stuff, but these are the exercises that we really use most often. These are ones that we've seen most success with, and these are the kind of the ones that I want you to stick to just because I know that they work. So that is the explanation of our small group 2 template. We'll move on to 3.